Hi, everybody. I'm Alyce-Kay Ruckelhaus from Threshold of Hanani and the Widow Ruckelhaus. And this is my mom, Lynn Hanush. Say hi,
Hi.
Mom. And we've already established in a previous video that my mom does know where she is.
Yeah.
My mom has no memory problems, you guys. My memory is worse than hers, so I'm just teasing. But
Oh, there are times when I can't think of words or places that I want to think of, believe me.
but she walks. We're going to talk about that in another video, and I cannot hardly walk, so she's doing much better than I am. But we were just as we were having conversation, because we just like talk often on Sundays and stuff, and I was like, oh mom, can we record this, because this would really help people. So one of the things that I asked her just a couple minutes ago if we could talk about is ways that people can help elderly people, or not even elderly. I mean, it's like I think of myself as elderly, but I'm not like really old like my mom. No.
Mom is really old, yes.
Mom's really old. Mom's 80. Okay. I'm 61. Okay. So I'm officially a senior citizen. I'm officially old. And there are some things that I need help with that my mom doesn't. Like I've shared with you all how my house was getting dark because I couldn't change the light bulbs in the because I, and this is something to watch out for if you didn't hear me talking about that, is if you see somebody who's having a hard time walking, I can guarantee you they cannot step up on a step stool. So they cannot change their smoke alarms or their light bulbs. And so right now I have no smoke alarms on my ceilings. A friend of mine is going to take care of that for me. But, and yeah, and when Bill left on his final journey, where he had his accident and died, right after he left, one of the smoke alarms started beeping. So that's like, so they've been going out over the last 3 years. So I have no smoke alarms. My house was getting dark. So a friend came over and she changed all my light bulbs and stuff. So that's something that you can do for people. My mom doesn't need help with that because she's fine at doing stuff like that. But we were just talking about like, what are some of the things that people have helped her with? And in her case, it's mostly family, but not everybody has that. Mom, do you
That's
want to
right.
talk about that a little bit? What people have said to you?
Yeah, fortunately, I do have family here that is more than ready to help me. And so I'm really blessed with that. And I know that. But other people here, some of them are unable to step up on step stools. And so they need somebody, and you hate to hire somebody just to do a light
Change
bulb or
light bulbs?
something.
I know.
So you call on other people, but sometimes they're just, they wonder, who do I call on?
Hmm.
And so that's something, if you're out there and you're looking for something to do, that's something you can do, is go to senior homes and see what you can do to help.
It's a
Uh,
huge ministry. And we're not talking about nursing homes because there's people there to do that. But like there's a lot of these senior communities that are 55 or over. There's also just, if you know seniors in your church, and don't ask them, what can I do for you? Because they're probably not going to tell you. So that's why I wanted to share this conversation with my mom with you all, so that we could like brainstorm some of these things that you can ask people. Can I come change your light bulbs? Or just, can I bring you something? And then while you're there, look and see, what you can do. Because people often don't want to ask.
mhm.
And since we've been talking about ministries, this is a ministry. It doesn't have to be something official. You don't have to like come up with a name for your ministry or anything like this, just helping people. So Mom, you looked like you were going to say something.
Yeah, there was something else that I really need right now, is somebody to come and clean up all the pine needles. I have a pine tree
Oh
outside my
yeah.
house, which I love the pine tree, but it leaves these long needles and they're all over the place and they stack up. And so my yard is kind of full of them.
And they also
And
kill other plants.
yeah, and so I need somebody to clean them out. I don't have a lot of plants, so it doesn't affect that as much, but it's just a necessary thing to make the place look better and to make it just neater,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
things like that. Sweeping the walkway or the driveway, that needs doing periodically, and that's a big thing for me to do. My back can't stand that kind of motion for very long, so that's really hard for me to do. I've hired a housekeeper and she did some of that stuff for me the other day, so that was really good.
So some of those things, like you hired a housekeeper, a lot of people who are in their older years, um, they're living on a Social Security income, which is not very much. So it's very hard to hire somebody like that. And then also, a lot of times, if you are having some health problems or mobility problems, you can't go get a job,
Right.
and to earn some money. And so it really does, you guys, that is just such a huge thing when you help people out like that.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that family's helping you with?
They help me with bookkeeping. My granddaughter helps with bookkeeping. She's been incredible help to me. Um, she
She's helped
comes
you
over.
figure out the finances too, right?
Yes, figure out the finances. She's helped me make all the calls to people since my husband died, and that's been an incredible help. She helped me get
Oh, yeah.
the things like the death certificates, all those things that we need. Just been incredible. Anything I need. My grandson-in-law is a registered nurse. He has been here quite a bit to help me, and especially right after Dave died, he would come over and talk to me and ask how I was doing, and he would ask really good questions because he worked as a hospice nurse for
Hmm.
quite a while,
Right.
so he knows what to ask.
And he
uh,
works in a nursing home too, so he's still kind of working
yeah,
with that kind of thing.
he was working at a nursing home.
Oh,
He has just changed jobs. He's
oh,
now working in an ICU.
oh, okay.
So he's learning a whole new area, but it all is dealing with people and their emotions, and he's really good at dealing with emotions and helping them through it.
Yeah. Well, he
So,
also came while Dad was still alive and helped with some stuff with Dad. And some of those things,
mhm.
it really helps that he was a nurse, but other things could be just anybody coming to help with. So what are some examples of
He
those
did
things?
well. Dad was doing physical therapy and had exercises he needed to do at home, and I could help him some, but not a lot. And so
Because physically it was too hard to help.
yeah, and so Chip would come over and help him, and he helped him, do those several times. After work, he would have a long day at work, and then he would stop by here and help him with exercises and then go home and get to bed. So
And that's
it,
something that somebody who's not a nurse could probably help with, right?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of things that can be done without being a nurse. So
Yeah. And as a diabetic, Dad was a diabetic, and I'm a diabetic, and a lot of people have diabetes, you guys. And there are things that you can help people with their diabetes. So what are some things, Mom, that people can help with diabetes?
um, help them with their feet.
Right.
So, for instance, I always put lotion on Dad's legs before I would put his the socks on. Now I can't think of the name of the socks.
The
Anyway,
diabetic socks or
yes, the
compression
diabetic
socks?
compression socks. Thank you.
Okay.
That's what it is. The compression socks on, because those are hard to put
They
on
are. Yeah.
anybody, and they're impossible for somebody in his situation who's diabetic, not well, can't lean down that much, and so he couldn't do it himself. So I did it for him. But if I wasn't available for some reason, then there needed to be somebody. So
Mhm.
our granddaughter Sam would also come and do that.
And foot
And
inspections are really, really important. And that's something that, I
absolutely,
mean, like I have a mirror that has a light and a magnifier to look, but
yeah,
it would be
it's
much better if somebody else was inspecting my feet, you know?
I yes, yeah. So that things like that help. There's just little odds and ends.
Yeah, just those
Uh,
little things that can be so helpful. And you guys can make the difference between life and death too. I was visiting a friend who's diabetic in Minnesota a couple of years ago, and he had taken a shower like an hour and a half before. And I was there somewhat to assess how he was doing because, we had talked about that if he got to the place where he needed care, that he would move down with me. And so I had asked if I could put some oil on his foot. He had already had one leg amputated. And when I went to take off his sock, he screamed. And he had just had a shower an hour and a half ago and had inspected his own feet. But when I took off his sock, his foot was white and smelled horrible, and he ended up having 2 toes amputated. So it can happen so quickly. It's so important and to have those inspections of your feet, and you really can't do that thoroughly yourself. So I can't even stress how important that is and how helpful it would be, and doesn't take a lot of time.
Right. No, it doesn't.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
if you were visiting somebody who's diabetic and you could just say,
Mhm.
would you like me to check your feet for you? They might be a little embarrassed, but just say, I really wouldn't mind. I know how important that is.
Yeah. Yeah, that is important. I myself have neuropathy, and I know I have to check my feet, and I'm still able to do it myself at this point, but who knows how long that'll
Yeah.
last.
Yeah. For me, it's because I can't bend my knees very well. So it's like I
Yeah.
can't look at my feet myself.
Uh,
So what are some other things that your children, grandchildren, I'm not your children, your grandchildren and your great grandchildren help
yeah.
with?
Well, they come over to help me pull weeds. The kids will go out and pull weeds while the rest of us, or Sam and I, do other things. Excuse me. And so that really helps.
Mhm.
Chip comes over and sprays weeds, the bad weeds that really need spraying. And
Mhm.
he's researched and found what works with animals, because I do have a dog.
Yeah, well,
So
that's
it's
good.
really good. And different things like that, just little things around the house. They helped me put up pictures when we moved,
Mhm.
um, things like
Well,
that.
and you mentioned your dog, Pearl. Now, my mom is in really good shape, so she walks Pearl herself. But a lot of elderly people have dogs and they can't walk them. So that would be a really good thing to offer to do for people too.
And there's at least one guy here in Albuquerque Meadows who walks dogs, but he charges,
Right.
and it adds up. And so walking a dog is really simple, usually,
Hmm.
depending on the dog.
And it's a
But
wonderful ministry. That
yeah,
would be
it's a great
so,
ministry because people need their dogs walked. And
and people need their
uh,
dogs. When you're
yeah,
living by
they really
yourself,
do.
yeah.
It's important. And we have a fenced in yard here. I'm very fortunate. Not all of them have fenced in yards,
Hmm.
and they have no place to let their dog out except to take them for a walk over at the green.
Hmm.
And there you can take them for walks. They've got, doggy bags up along the way and stuff. So that's what people could really come and do for others. That would help.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you mentioned something a little bit earlier, and then we went straight to something else. I wanted to go back to it. When Dad died, and I know for me, when Bill died, there are so many things that you have to do right away, and you're grieving. And it's like so hard to think through those things. Within 3 days, I had to deal with all these companies, and a lot of companies wouldn't even let me pay my bill because it was in Bill's name. I had to prove that he was dead. Okay, so imagine a widow having to prove that her husband has died when she's just grieving I think that's just horrible. But if
Yeah.
there's somebody else who can help you with that and do those things for you, that's huge. That's just huge. And then also, like, I think Sam's teaching you how to handle the finances yourself too, right? Or at least to
We're
understand what's
working
going
on
on.
that, but she is going to keep handling them for me. I asked her to the other day,
Okay.
and but to go through them with me periodically, like
So
at
you know
least
what's
once
going
a month,
on.
so I know what's going on. And
Yeah.
so she's doing that, and she's happy to do that. And
Yeah. And
really,
that's really helpful. It's like when Bill died, Bill had been a bank manager before, so I know he had a system to the finances, but I was never able to figure it out. So I had to go back and start doing all the bookkeeping for that year because I was going to have to pay taxes and stuff. And so it's really important if you can help somebody know at least what's going on, even if you're going to take care of it for them. I think that's really
yeah.
good.
And another thing that people can do, men can do to help their spouses, or women to help their spouses. Um, for instance, such as, Dave we knew he was not going to live a long time longer.
Mhm.
And so, but I did not know what he was doing kind of behind my back, but it was a good behind my back because he was preparing He was preparing my granddaughter to handle the finances and telling her where everything was. He had everything listed for her. When she came over to put his compression socks on and to massage his feet and look him over and everything, he would tell her about a lot of this stuff.
Wow.
So that when he was gone, she immediately knew what to do in most situations. And that is such a blessing. If spouses can prepare, the one who takes care of the finances, prepare somebody that can help out.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
prepare your spouse.
Well, prepare your spouse, but I think also even then prepare somebody to help out, because having to do all
Absolutely.
that when you've just lost your husband or wife,
Mhm.
it's just,
Yeah,
I didn't feel like I could grieve Bill because I had so many things that I had to do. It was very hard. It was really, so yeah, I think dad also kind of learned from my experience losing Bill.
absolutely. I believe that. Yeah.
Yeah.
When Bill died, we came as soon as we could, and we spent 2 months
Yeah, that was really
with
helpful.
her. And I tell you, my husband's a CPA, so he was able to go through a lot of that stuff and knew what to do.
Right.
And
But I don't think
that
he was able to figure out Bill's system either.
no, there were things he couldn't do too, but he
Yeah.
helped us a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and,
Well, and even the fact that I know how to do that is because the dad taught me how to do all those things,
right.
as a kid and stuff too. But yeah, it's like, we saw firsthand, it's like so many families, husbands and wives, we're traditional and we're kind of like proud of that. And so everything's in the husband's name. That
Mhm.
is like the worst thing you can do if the husband dies. And you guys, I don't care how young you are, even if you're 20, your husband could die. And it's just really important to have everything in both of your names. Oh my word, that would have made everything so much easier. Having a will would have really helped too.
Yeah.
And he didn't have a will, and that's caused me all kinds of problems. But yeah, just those things. But Sam has really helped you a lot with that
Huge.
stuff. Yeah, that's been really big. So yeah, so those are things that you guys, not everybody has family. So I know that a lot of times when, I didn't mean for this to be talking about like widows and stuff, but I guess that's kind of where we're heading. A lot of times when somebody dies, it's very awkward for people. They don't know how to talk to that person or how to help them. These are some ways that you can help, and that would help it to be less awkward to you too. Bringing meals is really great. You only have so much refrigerator room though. Um, but it's really wonderful when people do that. But these are some things that you can do to help too. Like if you're over at their house because you brought a meal, just kind of look around. Oh, I see a light bulb that's burnt out,
Yeah.
and help,
Mhm.
or just some of these things are ideas that you can ask, can I help you with this? Okay, so one other thing that I just wanted to talk about is, Mom, you've had people who work for you, not work for you, but they, you go to them for a specific service to be done and you pay them, but they've also ministered to you. And how's that? What are some examples of that?
Trying
I'm
to
thinking
think.
of your mechanic. I'm thinking
Oh,
specifically of
thank
your
you. Thank you.
mechanic.
Yes, my auto mechanic has been incredible. I go to a group called Christian Brothers, and they are Christian because they are followers of Jesus. So it's not just that the name is Christian, but they really are Christians. And one of the things they told me, I had taken my car in for repairs one time and mentioned that my husband was in the hospital and not doing well. And they said, "Oh, we will pray for you. We pray
Which
for
that's
the
really
people
big.
here that we service." So,
Mhm.
and they said, "If you need anything, please call us. We have been known to send somebody out to just take somebody's trash out to the front."
That's another thing
Things
people
like,
can do for someone too, is take out
yes,
their trash.
it is. In fact, we have a neighbor who can't take his own trash out. And so the neighbor next door has been doing it for him for quite a while.
Right.
And, things like that. Yeah. So anyway, they're there to help. So those are the kinds of things people can do too. And
Mhm.
that has been such a benefit.
And if you have a business, or you have like you work as something, like you work as a nurse or something like that, think of
Mhm.
ways that you can use those talents and skills to help people.
Yeah. I also had them do a complete check over of my car before I went to California. And turned out, the list of things they gave me, of urgent things they gave me, I wasn't able to take my car to California, so I had to take another car. But when I came back, then I sat down with them and talked with them about, okay, which of these things really are the most urgent? How much can I do? And so one guy there, he listed out for me. He showed me which things really needed to be done before I could go do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And now I just had the last thing done that absolutely had to be done right away. And I'm safe to drive out to Tennessee to visit you. As far
good.
as
So you can come now instead of waiting till October.
yeah.
No, I know you have things.
One trip, so I guess I need to be here for a little bit.
Okay. I'll let you do that. Yeah. So you guys, and as Mom was talking about that, I was remembering how when I was a single mom, a mechanic really, really helped me out. And so those are other people that you can look for to help is single moms. It's like, you know how hard it is to raise kids? Well, try raising kids without a partner.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes a partner who is actually working against you and doing everything that they can to make things more difficult for you. And, there were people who helped me, like a mechanic who my car broke down a couple days before Thanksgiving. And I was new to that area. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know any of the businesses. And so I was going to have AAA tow my car from one town back to my town. And God just directed me to the right mechanic. He said, it's probably going to be a couple weeks before I can work on your car. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm a single mom. This is the only car that I have. And I wasn't really saying that to try to get help. I was just like trying to think through things. And he said, oh, you're a single mom. I will have that ready before Thanksgiving. And it was like a couple days before Thanksgiving. And he did everything that he could to make the price lower. And he told me, always come to me if you have any questions about your car or anything, even if I don't have to fix it, I'm going to help you, to figure out what you need and stuff. And he was just so helpful. And that, yeah, that was just so awesome. I spent so much time crying as a single mom, but people like that were just so helpful. So yeah, stuff like that. And I had a mechanic also when my husband died, and our car was totaled in his accident, so I had to get a new truck. And Mom was with me when we went to have some stuff done, and they didn't charge me for the labor, which was just so helpful. So if you have a business or something, a lot of times you can't afford to do those things for people, but if you can, just know that's ministry. That's stuff that God's going to say, well done, good and faithful servant, because you helped somebody with that.
And I could say that when I went in after Dad died and had some work done on the car, went in to pay the bill, and my other daughter, Lori, was with me, and she had already told me, I'm paying the bill, Mom. And anyway, I mentioned to them that my husband had just died because they knew him, and I wanted them to know. Well, immediately they took $200 off of the price of the bill. So that really was incredible. Plus, it showed my other daughter the importance of things like that, and that she now realizes they are a trustworthy people.
Right. Yeah.
She's not in person, so she trusts my mechanic.
Yeah. And that's really important for us as your children to be able to see that the people, because we're all far away from you, except, we're all your kids, except Daryl, I guess. We're all far away. And so it really helps us to know that there are trustworthy people looking out for those things for you. That's really important. Okay. Is there anything else that you can think of, Mom?
Oh, there's probably plenty, but I can't.
But you guys, you have some ideas from this, and just, think of, and if you're in the group, if you're in the Pray, Serve, Go group, which I will have below for anybody who wants to join. We're like all different denominations, Catholic, Protestant, just, run of the gamut there. But one of my goals in that group is to help people to find what their ministry is. And again, that doesn't have to be a formal ministry that you get a not 401k. What is it, Mom? 501c.
Yeah,
Yeah, 501c.
I can think of O1.
Yeah,
O1.
anyway, it doesn't have to be a nonprofit organization. You don't even have to have a name for your ministry. You know, like I think I mentioned in a video previously, but I have a friend, Rebecca, who crochets things for people, and she just does it because she loves God and she loves people, and so she's doing that from her heart to show God's love to them. That's a ministry. Okay, she doesn't have to come up with some name, Rebecca's Rainbow Crochet or something like that. You know, it's just what she does. And when you do things like this, those are the things that, gosh, the Lord just really, really loves. I don't know the reference off the top of my head. Mom, you might know it, in Matthew, where Jesus is talking about the sheep and the goats, and he's talking about, you know, if you did these things to the least of these, you've done it for me. And if you didn't do these things for the least of these, you didn't do it for me. And so Jesus said that's really, really important. And so those are some things, those are some ways that you can help people, and some really, really valid ways that you can help people. Anyway, I want to invite you all in the comments below, whether you're in the Facebook group or whether you're seeing this on YouTube, just list some of the ideas that you come up with that we haven't talked about that you could do. And let's just brainstorm, because somebody else might come along looking and saying, I wish I could do something to help people, but I just can't think of anything. And that's often the case. People want to help, but they don't know what to do. And so you can help brainstorm that by putting your ideas, maybe things that you're doing, maybe things that you could use help with, or you know somebody who could use help with. This person reading it might not be able to help them, but it just gives people those ideas. Mom, do you want to say anything before we close?
I think that's been really good, and that's a good idea to have people brainstorm about it.
Yeah, yeah, it really helps. I mean, I know that 10 years ago, I wouldn't have thought of most of these things. You know,
Yeah,
it's like you kind of have to experience it. And
that's
so,
right.
so we're sharing with you from our experience some of the ways that you could help people. So anyway, okay, so I will see you all later. Love you all. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.